Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Religiously Fit. I hope everyone is doing fine, keeping well. So guys, today we'll be doing the second last chapter of the ACE Personal Training Manual Edition 5, which is Legal Guidelines and Professional Responsibilities. This is not a very long chapter, it's going to be a short one. We'll try to wrap up this video within like 15 minutes. So this chapter is related to a lot of legal things. Okay, it will be telling you about different kinds of businesses, types of insurance and similar terminologies. So without wasting time, we'll start with the concepts right away. So broadly, this chapter can be categorized into things like employment contracts, insurance, risk management, scope of practice and legal responsibilities. Okay, so we'll start right away. So there will be different types of profit businesses, which are basically broadly categorized into three different categories. First is sole proprietorship. Second is partnership. Partnership can be of different types like general partnership, express partnership, implied partnership and limited partnership. So general, as the name says, express partnership is contract between parties. Implied is created, recognized by judicial systems, and limited means limited partners are only liable for their direct investment or contribution. Okay, so this is the second type of profit business. The third is corporations. Okay, so basically three types of profit business. One is sole proprietorship, second is partnership, and third is corporations. So if we talk about corporation in its details, so there are like four different kinds of corporation. First is called subchapter corporation, mostly called as S corps. Second is LLC, that is limited liability corporations. Third is C corporation, and the fourth one is limited liability partnership, commonly called as LLP. Okay, so you can go through these in a detail from the book itself. Okay, I'm not going to cover in much detail. As I said, these are not very much relevant with respect to the examination, to whatever content I covered on YouTube and I studied, and whatever I have gone through in my experience. Like almost nothing came from this chapter, but working as a personal trainer in a big box gym or a small gym, you should be very much aware of all these concepts, because some of the other time you might be hearing these terminologies which we'll be covering in a while. So okay, so these were different kinds of corporation, four different kinds: S corp, LLC, C corp and LLP. Okay, now moving to the next thing, which is called vicarious liability. What There are different kinds of liabilities. We will be discussing major liabilities. Okay, so vicarious liability is employers are responsible for actions of their employees. Okay, so let's say if you are working in a big box gym and you do something like a kind of let's say your client faces any issue which is, I would say, remotely related to you. So instead of they suing you, okay, they'll be suing to the gym itself. Like in a high level manner, I'm just putting up an example here. Vicarious liability is where the employers are responsible for action of their employees. Okay. Then comes the next important thing, which is informed consent, which is signing an acknowledgement of client about the risk associated with the exercise. Okay, you will be briefing, like once your client sign ups for your personal training, at that time you will be asking them to sign couple of documents. So one of that document would be called informed consent, where you will be getting their consent and they'll be signing that document that they acknowledge all the risks which are associated with the exercise. Okay, then comes waiver, which is also called liability waiver. Okay, so this is basically when client okay, so this is basically client knows that they might PD is not responsible for injury to the client, so they are automatically, like, they are waiving off you of any injury or anything that might be caused in that gym setting. Okay, that is called liability waiver. So like basically they'll not be suing you if any problem, any situation happens. So normally all the gyms here in Canada, they get to sign, they always get a copy of liability waiver signed by the client before they actually start working out. Then comes gross negligence, which is failure to spot a client. Okay, which the name itself says, failure to spot a client. Willful disregard for safety of client. Like for example, if your client is working on it, you are at the same time watching something on your mobile phone, so that is called gross negligence. Okay, That is utter negligence. You should never be doing that. Okay. Then comes contributory negligence, which is also called comparative negligence. Okay. So both personal trainer and client is at fault. They both are at fault. Depending on the degree of fault, the charges are divided among both the parties. So the name is quite self-explanatory, contributory negligence. Okay. Then comes agreement to participate. So this is basically utilized for class settings like boot camp or group classes, like group cycling or group classes. So clients are made aware of normal outcomes of activities and they willingly assume the risk of participation. Not typically considered as a formal contract, it's a kind of informal contract, but the client has made are educated on the kind of outcome that might happen because of this group classes. Then comes facilities. Facilities, like, it's, I think, not there's no need to explain, but still I would read the definition. Facilities should be inspected each day prior to beginning training sessions. If unsafe conditions, notify the facility manager. PT should always have a contingency plan in case, for example, you are about to take your group classes and just a moment before your group class you tend to see that okay, there is some issue on with the floor or the equipments, and you should be have a backup. You should be having a backup or a contingency plan, that how you are going to mitigate that class, like how do you are going to manage that class without that equipment or that place or whatever failure you just encounter, how you are going to overcome that. Okay, you should be having a plan for that, because obviously you cannot turn off like you cannot say to your client that okay, we are not going to have a class today. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Then comes equipment. If unsafe or faulty, remove or disable it for further use. So if you tend to see that there is some equipment which is malfunctioning, which is not functioning properly well, so just mark it for not use, like put some cross tape or something like that, or some red tape or something like that, so that your clients, they don't get to use it. Okay, and eventually don't injure themselves. Then comes supervision. Never ever leave your client during the session, like they are working out and you are not available right beside them. Never ever do that. Okay, now comes insurances, different kinds of insurance. So the first insurance would be professional liability insurance. Okay, it is designed to cover the health and fitness industry. It is a kind of very generic term. Okay, like a generic kind of or I would say, no, that was a different one. So this is a like basically every big box gym, they tend to have this professional liability insurance. This is specifically, it is the most important keyword, specifically designed to cover health and fitness industry. Again, I know my explanations are not that detailed one for this chapter. Okay, so please bear with me, and you can read about these on internet, or I would say obviously the fifth edition or sixth edition book itself. The second one is specific insurance rider. Okay, for example, freelancers. So personal trainer uses their client's home for the training. So for example, if you are doing a freelancing work, like if you are working on your own and you tend to go to your client's place, okay, then you need to be having specific insurance rider, insurance type of insurance. Then comes umbrella liability policy. It provides added coverage for all other insurances like auto, home, that a person may already have in place. So it's a kind of a bigger kind of insurance, which will be a super insurance, you can call it, which will be covering the other kinds of insurances. Then comes product liability insurance. This is for personal trainers who are selling any kinds of product like supplements. In the event a product fails to perform properly and your client is, is after you, suing you for not getting the expected outcome from that product, so this kind of insurance, like product insurance, liability insurance, is going to cover you, is going to save you. This insurance is particularly important for trainers who own a fitness center. Basically they are selling supplements as well. Then comes the last insurance, which is key man insurance. Here, what is to compensate the business for the loss of a person. Okay, like unfortunately, if a person involved in the business, they deceased, so because of any illness or extended illness, okay, so or death of a business partner, so this kind of insurance will be covering the other party involved in that business. Okay, now we'll be going to the next topic, which is intellectual property. So, intellectual property can be anything like music or TV broadcast sold commercially strictly for private use of purchaser. So, like if a trainer is writing a book, so that will be called as intellectual property of that trainer. And if anyone is copying your, like if they without your permission, they are copying, they are selling or distributing your intellectual property, which is book in our case, then you have the right to sue that person. Okay, so for that person, so this is a kind of insurance which protects you in case you have a intellectual property and someone illegally replicates that. Okay, like or a company name or a slogan as well. Okay, now we are very okay, we are almost I think done. So the last topic of this chapter is risk management protocols. Okay, obviously you are running a business, so there will be a chances of so many risks, different kinds of risks. So how we are going to manage those? So there are different techniques of risk managing those risks. So first would be risk identification. Okay, as the name suggests, you will be identifying the types of risk involved in that business. Then comes risk evaluation. So you will be assessing the or evaluating the severity of the risk. So probability of the risk to occur and its severity, or you can call that consequences. So that will come under risk evaluation. Then comes risk management approaches, like how you can manage the risk. So there will be different approaches to that. Okay, like first would be avoid. You can avoid that risk. Okay, for example, like you can eliminate all the activities which might cause the risk altogether. So avoidance is one type of risk management approach. The second is transfer. Transfer means, like we were discussing, like keyman insurance. Okay, or the different kinds of insurance that we were talking, umbrella liability, which is a super insurance, and product liability, if in case you are selling supplements or any other products. So insurance is something when you know that this there might be a kind of chance that you might encounter some risk. So what you are doing is you are managing that risk by eliminating that, like sorry, by transferring that to a different person or organization, so which is called insurance. So insurance is a kind of risk management approach where you transfer the risk from your side to other side. Okay, then comes the third risk management approach, which is reduction. So modify the risk by removing part of the activity. Okay, like for example, I would say, I'll just give you example which is coming to my mind right now. For example, if you are going to take a class right now, okay, and you see that the equipment, the whatever you are going to use in that class, that is faulty. Okay, so what you are going to do, you know that if your client is going to use that equipment, the very piece of equipment, they might get hurt, or they it might, you know, land them into an injury. So what you are going to do is you are going to reduce that risk by removing that or reducing that machine or equipment, so that your client, I'm sorry, your client, they don't get injured themselves. Okay, so you will be reducing that risk by reducing, let's say, that part of the workout, that part of your program that day. Okay, and you can, maybe you can add something in place of that, so just to, you know, fill that gap. So the fourth approach would be retention. So retention is, I'll read the definition. If eliminating or removing of a risk would also remove a potential benefit, then it is retained. Risk in low medium severity category are usually okay. So it is saying when you are going to do a retention or when you are going to do a reduction. So it is basically explaining that if eliminating or removing or removal of a risk would also remove a potential benefit, okay, then it would be retained. Normally when this retained thing approach is used when the benefits, they outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, so basically when the risks are low or of medium severity, then in that case we basically go for the retention risk management approach. So there's always a risk to reward ratio. So we have to see like how much big is the risk in terms if we compare it to the reward. Okay, then under the risk management protocols, it comes implementation. Implementation is very self-explanatory, which is implementation of the plan. Then comes evaluation. So evaluation is assessing the outcome of risk management approach that needs to be altered. So basically there were 5 different types of protocol in risk management approach. First is risk identification, then risk evaluation, then risk management approaches, which would be avoidance, transfer, reduction and retention. Then comes implementation, and then comes evaluation. Okay, so these are total 5 risk management protocols. So with this, I made some other notes, but okay, this I think I missed one type of insurance which I have just mentioned at the end of my note, which is general liability insurance. So basically this type of insurance, it covers slips, trips or falls in a gym. Like gym is a place where you'll see mostly you'll see people slipping or falling. Okay, so this kind, so I should not laugh at this thing, but I have seen so many, just I got reminded of those scenarios. So this kind of insurance, it is going to cover these kinds of incidents. Okay, so gyms should always consider getting this insurance, because like if there's facility, there are equipment, that obviously there are chances of people falling, and there are sometimes they lose their balance. Okay, so you might see these kinds of things in the gym setting. So general liability insurance is the most important insurance. Every gym owner should have it. Okay, so this brings me to the end of this chapter. I hope my notes were good for you to give you a brief overview of this chapter. If you tend to have any questions regarding any of the insurance or the practices or the terminologies given in this chapter, feel free to reach out to me in the comment section, and I would love to answer you. So I hope the video was helpful. If it added any value to your current knowledge levels, or if you are preparing for the ACE exam, please do give me a like on my video, so that I know I'm making relevant videos. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.